The Celtics survive the Sixers. The Hornets almost get home versus the Bucks. And, well, boys, some teams had really bad losses tonight. It's Locked On NBA.
You are Locked On NBA, your daily NBA podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, and welcome to another Thursday edition of Locked On NBA. I am Jackson Gatlin, host of Locked On Rockets. You can follow me on Twitter at JT Gatlin. He is Matt Moore, senior NBA writer at the Action Network and co-host of Locked On Nuggets. And together, we are the dynamic duo here at Locked On NBA Thursday, where we finally, Matt, we got a 9-game slate to talk about. How nice is that?
It's nice to be able to keep my head on straight as versus some of these 15-game slates where I'm trying to be like, okay, I have to have a take on 15 games, and then what happened in this one, and who played, and I'm getting too old for this stuff, Jackson, and I'm not a young man anymore. These 15-game slates are bad, but this 9-game one was just perfect, and we've got a lot of takeaways, some good basketball tonight in the association.
Yeah, we had some ridiculously close games with some wild finishes, and then we had some absolute blowouts.
We had some ridiculously awesome games that you got to watch, and then there were the other games that I wound up assigning myself. And it was a relaxing evening, I'll say that. But woo, yeah, very, very. It was the best of times. It was the worst of times on League Pass tonight.
It was great. So with that, where do you want to step foot first? Because I feel like we're just taking a leisurely stroll through these games rather than our usual like bam, bam, bam. Yeah. So where do you want to go first?
Let's stroll on over to the cornfields of Indiana, where once again it would seem that the Indiana Pacers snatched defeat from the jaws of victory and suffered another heartbreaker loss. What do you got on it?
Let me tell you, this game, first off, defense was entirely optional for chunks of this game. I'll give you that. The Hawks were on fire in this one, 16 of 33 from behind the three-point line, 48.5%. They, could not miss for portions, for chunks of this game. It was very much like, right, I hate saying, game of runs, right? But Hawks made a push at the end of the first half, and it felt like, okay, you're taking, 8-point lead in the halftime, comfortable lead. Pacers kind of claw their way back into the game in the third quarter. And then the way that this game finished, it was such a tight, like sloppy kind of finish. And the Pacers, they had every chance to win this game. And the final play, depending on who you ask, with Chris Duarte, some people saying, oh, he got fouled on the final attempt of the game. Other people saying it was a good defensive play by Kevin Huerter. Personally, I think it was just an ill-advised shot attempt, right? Basically tail into this game, you have Trae Young, who has a miss. Capella cleans it up. Then come down to the other end. Collins hits a couple free throws. Back on the other end for the Pacers offensively, Capella gets a block that goes all the way back out to Jeremy Lamb for a three-pointer and has the Pacers, I apologize, the Hawks up 112-111. And at that point, you come down and Trae is handling the rock, trying to get something going for the Hawks, and turns it over. Chris Duarte, Malcolm Brogdon take off in transition, and Duarte has every opportunity to lay the ball in to win the game for the Pacers, and just like barely misses it off front iron with an offhand attempt at the rim. And I think it was kind of an ill-advised shot attempt. The Pacers didn't have any timeouts left though. So in that moment, attacking the basket in transition, not against a set defense, rather than potentially trying to pull the ball back out and get it to Brogdon or somebody else on the team. I think that Duarte made the right read, but maybe don't try and finish with your offhand in transition, like for the game winner. It was another tough loss for the Pacers. Like, there's a lot of talent on that team. They shouldn't be 9-15. They have now, I think this is their 8th loss by 4 points or less.
Oh.
Like, this Pacers team could look entirely different if we're talking just a few things breaking their way differently across any of those other losses, right? So I can't quite make, what to make of this Pacers team, because they've got Sabonis, who had a huge night, 22 points, 9 of 10 shooting, 2 of 2 from behind the arc. And then you look down and you've got Karis LeVert, who absolutely struggled, just 6 points on 3 of 12 shooting. Duarte, a bit of a rough night at the office, 11 points, 5 of 13, 1 of 6 from around the three-point line, obviously missing the potential go-ahead game-winning bucket. And then rotationally, missing Holiday, not having him out there is tough. So this was a close game at the end. And I feel for the Pacers because they were very much in position to win this one.
The Pacers have played 24 games, Jackson. Of those 24, 15 have been within 5 points in the final 5 minutes. They are 3-12 in those games, Jackson.
That's even worse than the numbers I looked at.
3-12. You want to? I have a molten lava take.
Oh,
Rick Carlisle's been bad. I'm telling you, I've watched Rick for the majority of his career, and I think he's one of the best coaches in NBA history. It's been rough. Like, they have stretches where they just look totally unprepared and unfocused. It feels like he's not getting through to them. Their game plans at times seem very off kilter. The late game execution is ultimately on the players, right? Like, these are veterans. They know how to, they should be able to stay calm and put things together. But on some level, this team does not seem like it is connected. It does not seem like it is in the right place. And I don't know, oftentimes it's if you don't know who to blame, you blame the coach. I just watch the Pacers games, and whenever they struggle, whenever they succeed, I'm never like, ooh, that's Carlisle at work there. And whenever they struggle, I'm like, doesn't seem like it seems like he lets runs go on too long. I think there's a lot of things in trouble there. You want to hit another game before we go to break?
Yeah, definitely. We got to, I want to hear about Wizards Wolves. Tell me about what took place over there.
So this game had 21 lead changes, 19 ties. It was back and forth the entire game. And I tweeted in the fourth quarter, I said the Wolves had a lead, and I said the Wolves have got to make a run here. If they do not put distance between them, they're going to run out of gas because they're on the road. And sure enough, the Wolves missed a couple of three-pointers. They had some bad turnovers, and the Wizards just broke it open in the final 5 minutes. This was an 8-point loss. This game was winnable for Minnesota. They were in a good spot here. Karl-Anthony Towns was phenomenal. 34 points, 11 of 25 from the field, 10 boards, 1 steal, and a block. He was terrific tonight. He was absolutely phenomenal. D'Angelo Russell, on the other hand, as he's wont to do after he has big performances, 3 of 18 from the field, 10 points on 3 of 18. Some good passes, 9 assists. He actually was really genuinely making some really high level plays. Their problem ultimately was defense. Off the bench, here's a 6-man candidate that's probably not getting enough consideration. Montrezl Harrell tonight, in 21 minutes, had 27 points on 11 of 12 shooting. The Wolves defense play at the level. They play aggressive, trying to force turnovers. The Wizards don't turn it over a lot. That was my concern with this game, even though I bet the Wolves in this game. They were able to basically get the ball out of those traps. And the Wolves overcorrected trying to get to the corners to guard the three-pointers. And that left the dunker spot wide open. And it was just dunk by Gafford, dunk by Harrell, dunk by Gafford, dunk by Harrell. That's where this went ultimately. The Wizards only shot 10 of 32 from 3. The Wolves only shot 11 of 37, so they shot worse, but they did make one more 3. They had a chance in this game because of those, but ultimately the inside play from the Wizards really gutted this out. Again, this seems like more of a high-scoring game. It was gritty for a while, and the Wizards just hit one burst. The Wolves ran out of steam in that final 5 minutes of the fourth quarter on the road.
When you talk about Montrezl Harrell, not getting enough consideration as a potential 6th man of the year award candidate. When I look at the Wizards play, I think he's their I don't want to say the most impactful player for them, but he swings games for them.
X factor. He's absolutely an X factor.
Yeah. What he brings to them off the bench, can't be replicated by anybody else. And it's impactful, right? The way that defenses have to adjust for what he brings, just that motor, the energy, all of it. I'm in complete agreement with you there. Montrez is a difference maker for that team. Coming up, we want to dive into the other games we've got on our slate. We're going to get there in just a moment after a quick message from our friends over at Shopify. Because look, when it comes to Shopify, online sales, all that, Shopify is a complete commerce platform, right? It basically lets you start, grow, and manage a business top to bottom. Its subscription-based software allows anyone to set up an online store and sell their products. Shopify store owners can also sell in physical locations using Shopify POS, point of sale app, and accompanying hardware. Look, it gives entrepreneurs a resource that was once reserved for big businesses. So upstart startups and even established businesses alike can sell everywhere, synchronize online and in-person sales, and effortlessly stay informed. So go to shopify.com/lockedonnba. That's all lowercase for a free 14-day trial and get full access to Shopify's entire suite of amazing features. Grow your business with Shopify today. Go to shopify.com/lockedonnba right now. That's shopify.com/lockedonnba.
And if you're using Shopify and you're a small business owner, you're probably looking to keep your finances pretty clean. And that's why you're also going to want to check out Truebill. Truebill it frees you from subscriptions that drag down your expenses. Do you know why free trials renew without your consent? It's a business scam to get you. Don't let greedy corporations pocket your money. Download Truebill to take control of your subscriptions. Truebill is a new app that helps you identify and stop paying for subscriptions you don't need, want, or you simply forgot about. On average, people save up to $720 a year with Truebill. Because companies make subscriptions hard to cancel, Truebill makes it incredibly simple. Just link your accounts, and Truebill will cancel your unwanted subscriptions in one tap. Your Truebill concierge is there when you need them to cancel unwanted subscriptions, so you don't have to. Truebill's got over 2 million users and has helped save them over $100 million. Don't fall for subscription scams. Start canceling today at Truebill.com/lockedonnba. Go right now. Truebill.com/lockedonnba. It could save you thousands a year. Truebill.com/lockedonnba. We'll be right back on Locked On NBA.
And continuing on here at Locked On NBA Thursday, he is Matt Moore. You can follow him on Twitter at HP Basketball. I am Jackson Gatlin. You can follow me at JT Gatlin. Matt, let's go to I want to jump into Hornets-Bucks because this was a ridiculous game.
Yeah, I missed this. What in God's name happened in this game?
This game, so the Hornets jump out to an insane start to the game, a 41-25 lead. They're hitting everything they're throwing up. The Milwaukee defense looking a little lost out there. Bobby Portis was definitely getting burned on some of the early possessions of this game. And then Milwaukee fights back into it finally. Giannis is just a monster. Like, there's no other way to put it. Like, Giannis squarely puts the team on his back and drags them to this win. 40 points, 15 of 24 shooting, 12 rebounds, 9 assists, 1 steal, doing all the MVP things that we know Giannis is capable of. Because at one point I was like looking down, like I was, watching the game, enjoying it, and I'm thinking, wow, Giannis is doing a lot out there. And then like I pull up the box score and I'm like, wow, Giannis is doing a lot out there because nobody else is contributing. And it was like down the whole like list, nobody else contributed. I will say Drew Holiday was like, his presence was felt. And then Grayson Allen picked it up in the second half. But that first half was rough looking for Milwaukee. And then the end of this game, the back and forth into this one was just absurd. You had the Bucks go, hang on. I had to write it down because I had the play-by-play like just drawn up because Middleton had a 3 at the end to put Milwaukee up 123-122, just under a minute left to go. Then comes down, Giannis tries to lay the ball in, offensive foul. Gordon Hayward misses a shot at the top of the key for the Hornets, and then Middleton has 2 free throws on the following possession to make it a 125-122 game. 8 seconds left, and it's looking like Milwaukee's about to sneak away with the win. And then LaMelo Ball, for a career-high night for LaMelo Ball, 36 points, drills his 8th three-pointer off of the inbounds play for the Charlotte Hornets, falling out of bounds, like catches it, immediately raises, releases, and like lands into one of like the ad tables like over on the sideline and absolutely drills it. And then to win the game, Milwaukee Bucks come back down on the subsequent possession, inbound the ball to Drew Holiday, and Drew Holiday hits Giannis Antetokounmpo coming downhill, who gets like a full head of steam, like easily 10 feet outside of the 3-point line. And I'm also questioning, like, why are you checking Giannis 10 feet outside the 3-point line? But anyways, gets a full head of steam going downhill, gets the pass from Drew Holiday, and then finishes with a like turning, pirouetting, just a beautiful finish where he flips the ball up on the opposite end of the rim and it goes in, a little spin, little touch. And that was all she wrote for the game. It was a really impressive finish and a really wild finish in this one.
Man, that's one that Charlotte's, they need those types of wins, right? Like those are low percentage win opportunities that kind of they let slip through their fingers. That's a tough one, but I mean, hey, I think, rolling the champs up that close, at least there's something to be said for that. LaMelo continues. I mean, it's not a question of like, is LaMelo going to be an all-star? It's like, is he going to start? Like, is LaMelo Ball going to start the all-star game? Because he's going to be hugely popular as well. It's going to be interesting to see the results when those come out here in a few months.
He's been absolutely phenomenal. I will say on the Charlotte Hornets front, they have to fix their defense. Like they are such a potent offensive team, but it does not matter if you're a top 5 offense if you're going to be a bottom 5 defense. And I just don't.
This is my concern with them going into the year. Is they got rid of a lot of the guys that helped them be as versatile as they were last year. Borrego has tried the same kind of stuff using switch and zone, and they're just not good at it. And the problem is their personnel is not suited to go more conservative with a drop scheme. Like this is a big problem for them. They just don't have size. They don't have real physicality. Like they're just lacking the guys that they need, I think, to play that level of defense. I think that's going to be a struggle for them all year.
Yeah.
Speaking of struggle, let's go to Orlando, where Denver Nuggets.
What's happening with the Nuggets, Matt? What is going on? This was one of the early games, and so of the games that we split, I did get to watch the tail end of this game. Walk me through what is happening, man.
They're hurt. Everyone's hurt. Like the Nuggets are missing Jamal Murray, Michael Porter Jr., PJ Dozier, and now Bones Highland and Austin Rivers to COVID protocols. So
but it's still the Magic.
I know it's still the Magic. I'll tell you what though, I was worried about this one. This was the kind of spot. Here's honestly like the model for this is what happens with Denver. Is last year Denver was really good versus bad teams because they were talented enough that even when they weren't great, they were still good enough. Their floor is just not high enough right now. Like look, the Nuggets outscored the Magic 29-15 in the first quarter. They killed them. Like they crushed the Magic. But the problem was Denver did that and then thought, okay, we got it. We came out, we set a tone. They can't come back. They're not good enough. We're good. The Nuggets just don't have enough talent to do that. And so then the Nuggets are outscored in the second half mightily. The Nuggets score 40 points in the second half total. Like compared to over 60 points for the Magic as they storm back. I want to give the Magic a lot of credit here because honestly, when I've watched them, they haven't looked as hapless as some teams. Like, I don't know, some teams that are riding 6-game or 4-game winning streaks right now. Like they've looked like a little bit more collected and together. Wendell Carter Jr. is not getting enough credit. 8 of 11 tonight, 18 points, 8 boards. Wendell Carter Jr. is playing great. Everyone's talking about Mo Bamba. I was very low on WCJ when he was in Chicago. He looked checked out. He just didn't connect there for whatever reason. Like front office, different coaches he honestly struggled with, was not comfortable there. He has looked so much better with a renewed opportunity here. Franz Wagner, it does not pop off the page with 15 points on 6 of 9 shooting, 5 assists. He was great. He had some absolutely terrific takes at the rim. And then Cole Anthony, 24 points, 10 of 21 shooting, sure, but 8 boards and 7 assists. The Nuggets just simply, it's the same thing as always. The bench once again destroys them. Aaron Gordon played them to a standstill. Nikola Jokic was a +2 in a game they lost by 5. And then you have the bench. Paco Campazzo -6, JaMychal Green -7. And they just don't, like, they have to have those other guys, and they're just missing too many dudes. So if it starts to go downhill, they can't drag it back out. I will also say Jokic had a bad game tonight, 18 points on 19 shots for Joker. Just didn't have it after that first quarter. They let up off the gas, and the Magic burned them.
We're going to roll through Rockets Thunder really quick because, as Matt so kindly pointed out, a hapless team at the bottom of the trash heap. The Houston Rockets riding a 4-game winning streak. Hey, talk about a team that's, riding some momentum, though. I will say the Rockets lost KPJ and Christian Wood early in this game. Christian Wood aggravating a right ankle injury that he dealt with last year that caused him to miss 17 games. Went down, left, came back into the game, tried to play a few more minutes, just did not look right, was not moving well, and then left playing just a total of 9 minutes in this game. Lost KPJ to the same thigh injury that he's been struggling with and has already missed some time with this season. So at that point, I wrote this game off, and I was like going to kind of look away and start, enjoy some of the other amazing games that I was getting to partake in on this wonderful calendar NBA evening. Still paying attention to the game, though, and the Rockets were very much in this. Even though the Thunder led the majority of this game, the Rockets actually didn't lead until like midway through the fourth quarter. They finally clawed back into it. They were led by one Jae'Sean Tate, who had a monster evening for the Houston Rockets, a career night for Jae'Sean Tate, 32 points, 10 rebounds, 7 assists, 2 steals, 5 blocks on 11 of 15 shooting. The only other Houston Rocket to post a stat line matching those numbers. Can you guess his name, Matt?
Tracy McGrady?
No. Hakeem Olajuwon.
Oh!
30 plus points, 10 rebounds, 5 plus assists, and 5 plus blocks.
Oh, the blocks. The
blocks. There you go. Yeah.
The blocks would definitely get dream in that conversation.
No, it was an insane game. Jae'Sean Tate absolutely leading the way. Rockets basically not having a ball handler out there, so Jae'Sean Tate operating as a point forward for the Houston Rockets. I will say, though, the OKC Thunder, SGA had a phenomenal night apart from his outside three-point shooting. He had 39 points on 12 of 26 from the floor, was 1 of 8 from behind the arc, though. And then he was living at the free throw line, 14 of 16, completely slicing and dicing the Rockets defense, getting to the rim basically at will. He just didn't have enough left in the tank down the stretch of this game. And then the Rockets defense ultimately clamped up and were able to come away with the win in this one.
Who was the big that sparked the run?
There was not a big that sparked the run.
But no. Who had the third best plus minus on the team?
I will say Daniel Tice played better in the absence of Christian Wood. And I will say
Daniel Tice a plus 12.
Daniel Tice has been receiving some unfair criticism from Rockets fans, and I've pushed back on that myself. He looked good. He really did in the minutes that he played.
They think he was on the grassy knoll, Jackson. Like, if not there, then Golgotha. Like, it's bad.
It's been pretty rough with Tice, and I will say
I do have a question. I do have a question for you.
Yeah, go for it.
So Rockets fans are in my mentions because they won again. Okay, even though like I said like I do think this is a blip, and they're just like very hyped up about this win streak. Like there's talk of like, are we winning too much at 5-16 for the tank job? You have the Rockets have 5 wins. Where 3 of those wins have come versus the Thunder. It's like literally all the optimism is based around they beat the Bulls, great win. They beat the Hornets, great win. But we know that those 2 teams are better than the Rockets, and they beat the Thunder twice. It's really funny to me. I like it. I applaud it honestly. Houston fans, they're simultaneously the worst and the best in my mentions at all times. Do you want to wrap up this segment with the most forgettable game of the night for me?
No, I want to start with the most forgettable game of the night at the beginning of the next segment, and then we will dive into our stock watch. And we're going to do that after a quick message from our friends over at Bet Online. Because look, when it comes to betting, nobody's got you covered for more odds, props, and lines than our friends over at Bet Online. They've got you for basketball, football, NHL, boxing, UFC, even your favorite Vegas casino games. So don't wait to take advantage of all the amazing offers available for the 2021 season. Head over to their new website. Use promo code LOCKEDON for a 50% welcome bonus on your very first deposit. Again, that's promo code LOCKEDON for a 50% welcome bonus on your very first deposit. BetOnline remains your number one spot for all of the sports action this season. It is the fastest and easiest way to bet on all of your favorite sports. BetOnline, where the game starts.
Back here on Locked On NBA, Jackson Gatlin and Matt Moore breaking down Wednesday's slate. Want to thank you for making us your first listen each and every day. Now make your second lesson Locked On Bets. Absolutely great coverage of all things betting from your boy Q and Lee Sterling. Check it out wherever you get podcasts. Locked On Bets. Jackson, the most forgettable game of the night for me came at the very end. The Sacramento Kings got a much needed in quotation marks win versus the quotation marks Los Angeles Clippers, who were resting Paul George in this game. The Kings shot the lights out to start this game. That's really kind of what carried them. 15 of 38 from 3 for 40%, 15 threes. That's a pretty good night for the Sacramento Kings. They shot 52% from the field. They were just had it going. Like everybody was knocking down shots. Rashawn Holmes I thought was really good in this game, attacking the rim. De'Aaron Fox with 24 and 7 and 14, along with five assists. Tyler Halliburton. It was also Tyrese Halliburton. Pardon me. I don't know why I said that. That's terrible of me. Sorry, Tyrese Halliburton. I know that. I cover the NBA. I promise. 12 points and 11 assists tonight. He was diming all over the place. The Clippers just didn't have it. Like, no Paul George. They did not have it in this
How
game.
dare you disregard the multiple fake runs that they had at the end of this game to try and make it interesting as we're thinking we'll just dive into recording with 6 minutes left to go in the game.
I was like, all right, Jackson, we can start. This game's over. And then it was like, that's 10 points with 142 to go. I was like, that's the problem with the Kings, is every time that you're like, oh, this game's over. It's the Kings. You never know, but
never want to count out the Kings to do something.
Yeah, I don't know. I will say this. The only real Clipper I thought that had a good game defensively was Eric Bledsoe. I thought he played pretty well. Other than that, it was rough. Just a rough night for the Clippers, who just clearly, this is one of the problems with the Clippers, is their floor is very low. When they don't play great, the bottom falls out of this team. And that's honestly where a lot of teams in the West are right now. It's kind of interesting to watch. Are you ready, sir, for Stockwatch?
I missed you last week, so yes, I am very ready for Stockwatch.
Okay, let's get back to Stockwatch because I was not available because I have shingles, which is not great. All right, here we go. Let's break this down. First one, Cavs Heat gets you this question. Cleveland Cavaliers will make the playoffs in the Eastern Conference: buy, sell, hold, or short.
Are we counting play in, or are we saying, or I want a disclaimer on this, are we saying they're gonna, if they are 10th and they will fight their way into the actual playoffs, right? That's okay.
They will either get it outright or they will win the play-in to make a top 8 seed. They are currently the 6th seed after beating the Miami Heat tonight. Heat without Bam Adebayo, who had surgery on a torn ligament in his thumb, will be out several weeks, and Jimmy Butler and Markieff Morris. The Heat are very banged up. They're very short. And by the way, Duncan Robinson recorded a trillion tonight. He went 0 and had no rebounds and no assists, no points for Duncan Robinson. It's rough.
Oh man, that's like the Tony Snell stat line. I love that.
So, Cavs though look impressive. They got the offense going tonight. So,
I'm gonna buy it. I've been really engaged with this Cavaliers team and really interested in what they've done to start the season. And I think in a previous stock watch, you and I talked about the injuries that they're dealing with and whether or not they'd be able to weather the storm of injuries and maintain their level of play. I think that when you look top to bottom in the East, I don't see how you can't have, we've got a large enough sample size, right? We're about a quarter of the way into the season. I feel like we kind of know what some of these teams are in the Eastern Conference. And I don't see a set of teams that are going to confidently outpace them to where they're not at least vying for a play-in spot. Mm-hmm. And I kind of like their chances in the play-in against some of these other Eastern Conference teams. So I'm going to buy that. What about you?
I'm going to sell. Okay. I don't, you look at the teams behind them at 12-10, the Atlanta Hawks, 12-10, the Celtics, 13-11, the Hornets, 11-10, the Knicks, and 11-11, the Sixers. I think all of those teams are likely to be better over the long run. Here's the other problem. The Cavs are already down Colin Sexton for the season. If they suffer any other injuries in the backcourt, if they lose either Rubio or Darius Garland, even for just an ankle sprain, then their backcourt is pretty much decimated. Evan Mobley is going to take you very far. He's way better. I thought Evan Mobley had a chance to be ultimately the best player from this class. I did not think he would be immediately the best player from this class. It is looking like he might be immediately the best player in this class. He is
whoa. Come on. You're not disregarding Alperen Sengun here, are you?
You laugh at that, but it's really tough because he had that big summer league, and you and I kind of talked about it, and I was like, all right, well, we'll see. And now I having watched the Rockets, I'm like, no, he's really good. He's really good.
Go compare their per 36 numbers. That's all I'll say.
The Cavaliers, though, I do think will have trouble getting. I guess I'll honestly see them coming up just short in a home loss in the second round of the play-in. That's kind of where I think that they'll wind up.
Oh wow, you're getting that specific with it. A home loss in the
they'll
second.
either win the first one and lose the second one, or lose both as a higher seed. So
I need a pen to write this down because I want to come back and find this and find dig for this audio and just be like, you know what, this is what Matt said, and I just want to see if you're like Nostradamusing this like whole thing. If you're actually like on the money, or if you're just way off base.
Way off base. The Cavaliers completely missed the play-in entirely, or like the 3 seed. That'd be amazing. All right, stock watch number 2. Are you ready?
Yep, let's do it.
You watched this game. You watched the Sixers Celtics slugfest. Once again, Al Horford, back with the Celtics, gets a win over Joel Embiid. So I will ask you this plainly. Now that the Celtics actually have a front court again with Robert Williams and Al Horford, who's had a great history defending Embiid, do the Celtics own the Sixers again? Buy, sell, short, or hold?
I am buying it.
Okay.
Yeah. This game, and it's the only thing that caused me to pause on this is because I'm not 100% sure where Embiid is at, like after recovering from COVID. Like that's like he looked like at points in this game that he was struggling. He was playing a lot from the outside, taking a lot of jumpers, not using his size, not getting into the interior. Now, granted, I will say Al Horford did a tremendous job on him for stretches of this game. But here's the problem. Even Inez Cancer Freedom did, some solid work on Embiid for stretches of this game, right? Made life a little bit difficult for him. So that said, I don't want to completely just disregard the fact that Embiid, 13 points, 3 of 17 shooting. It was a really rough night for him, but it was a rough night for like both teams. Like this was just an ugly game up until the very tail end when they finally started trading buckets and both looking like somewhat respectable NBA teams. But that being said, yeah, I will buy it. Al Horford did a really solid job on Embiid in this game. And I will say Robert Williams III got an amazing game-saving block at the very tail end of this game, as we should mention that just ever so briefly in this 88-87 win for the Boston Celtics over the Sixers.
As someone that pretty much constantly gets Sixers fans tweeting, you should be in jail for my comments about Joel Embiid every time he turns the ball over versus a double team, I can't, in good conscience, buy any more Joel Embiid is going to struggle in a playoff setting stock. I can't buy any more. I'm over leveraged on that position already. So I'm simply holding and saying that until Joel Embiid shows me that he can beat a double team, I'm going to continue to believe the teams with good front courts like the Celtics, among others, are going to be able to give him problems and ultimately overcome him in the playoffs. It's the one thing that's missing for him. He's so good at so many things, but you put a double team on him and he just turns the ball over too much. It's a real problem for a guy that's supposed to be the offensive hub. Final stock watch of this week as we cruise along here, not having to slam through 115 games. Look, the Mavericks absolutely annihilated the Pelicans. It was no contest. Luka Doncic had 18 points in the first quarter. It was a masterpiece from Luka. They needed a get right, feel good win. They got one. The Mavs are really good when they're playing trash. When they're playing developing teams that are working on a long-term timeline. That's a better way to say it.
So wait, is trash an acronym?
Trying rapidly to ascend to serious.
You just spelled trash. There you go. Yeah, you didn't quite spell trash, but I appreciate the effort. I applaud the attempt.
No, trying rapidly to ascend to serious heights.
Okay, there we go. You know what? Wow, that in and of itself was a masterclass. All right, back to the Dallas Mavericks.
Here's your stock watch. The New Orleans Pelicans should not bring Zion Williamson back.
Like ever or this season? Sorry, you kind of just gave me a lot of runway there.
Sorry. The New Orleans Pelicans should not bring Zion Williamson back this season. It's too far gone. They are out of it. It is They are 6-18 on the season, a full 12 games under 500. They would have to play 12 games over to get back to 500 by the time that the play-in rolls around, just to be in the play-in tournament.
I buy it, but like only like I buy it, but with can I put it like a like an asterisk on it? Like I want to buy it. I'm from Houston, so asterisks are apparently a thing here. Anyways, no. So I'm on the opposite side of that argument, by the way. Anyways, so no cheating was involved. That point, if he's okay with it, like that's the problem. Is like if he wants to come back and wants to play, then you obviously let him play. But if you get into a whole predicament where it's like, no, we want to sit you out the rest of the year, like that could easily devolve into any version, any permutation of the situation we've got going on with Ben Simmons and 76ers or John Wall and the Rockets. And then you've got a third one with, Zion and the Pelicans beefing over whether or not he comes back or not. Like if it's going to cause inner organizational turmoil, then no, they shouldn't bench him. And so
what's worse? The risk of more inner organizational turmoil, or the risk of him returning from a foot surgery and re-injuring it in a season which it's already lost because of how deep they are underwater already. It's a tough one, right?
Yeah, no, I mean, I feel like it's like this is one of those. There's no winners here. No,
no one wins.
No one wins in New Orleans. Sorry, this is horrendous. I feel so. No, it's
I love New Orleans and I want good things for them. I think it's lame how it's worked out for them. It's just been.
I had them pegged as the team. I going into the season, you and I were on differing points as you were buying all the Wolves stock and I was buying Pelican stock. I really wanted them to be good this year. Yeah. I'd say I will buy it. Like they just need to punt on this season at this point. It is too far gone.
But here's the thing: is like Alive is like they're 4-6 in their last 10. Okay, same as the upstart rising at like a Phoenix Houston Rockets. So they've been better recently, right? They're coming off a pretty big win. I get it. It's just you just look at that record. I just keep going back and being like, it doesn't like they're 6-18. They're 12 under already.
That's why like. What are you fighting for in the Western Conference is the problem. Like you're fighting to be the 9th or 10th seed in the West and like get probably bounced in the play-in, like your hope be a mid-tier lottery team again. Like
your hope is that like the Wolves, Blazers, Nuggets, or Clippers fall apart, right? Or theoretically one of the other teams, like they fall apart, and then the gap to get into the 10th spot is maybe 5 games under 500. And then you've got like an opportunity to at least be in that conversation. I just keep being like, and like it would be a win. I think I do think it'd be a win if the Pelicans got back into the play-in and we're like the 10th seed. Like that's a win, right? Like you're able.
It's a win, but I think it's like a short-sighted win. Whereas if the Pelicans finish out and bottom out as like a really bad team this season, they just ice Zion the rest of the year, and they can walk away with another potentially like top 5 pick.
Right.
And then you come back and you're like, all right, now we've got. The core, Zion, Ingram, we're throwing in a top 5 pick as well. All the other assets that we have, like then you're cooking at that point. Like then you're like, okay, there's a bit of a, a bit more of a vision for the future. And I will say potentially if at that point Zion's still frustrated or like, begs his way out, forces his way out, whatever, if he's done with the Pelicans, you've got another cornerstone to disappoint within 3 to 4 years again.
Yeah. It's tough.
Sorry, because I will say, because it's like, is this like a recurring trend? We got like Chris Paul, Anthony Davis. Like, do you feel like for the Pelicans, like I kind of feel for the organization because they've had like so many of these top talents that have then like been done with the organization. Anyways,
everyone thinks that if you just do things, if you just like, it's so simple. And if you just build a team right, then it'll be fine. And they're facing a lot of challenges there that go well beyond what's possible, I think, for GMs. And that happens, I think, a lot. So
anyways, I'd be happier if the Pelicans were a good team. I like them. I want them to find success, but I think they should punt on this season. They've got to do it. I said buy. What was your actual official bid on that?
I'm holding. I need to see what he looks like when he comes back, and I want to see like how these next couple of games go for the Pelicans. This was a step back tonight, getting absolutely destroyed, but like bad spot. You're coming off of a letdown game. I get it. Like, let's see how they bounce back, and maybe we can reassess.
All right. Well, with that concludes Stock Watch and our coverage of the 9-game NBA slate. As always, appreciate you tuning into the show. If you haven't done so, please consider subscribing to the show wherever you listen to your podcast, free and available on all platforms. That's Apple, Spotify, Google, and the brand new Odyssey app, as well as the Locked On NBA YouTube channel. Go hit like, go hit subscribe, comment, all that stuff on the wonderful YouTube videos. See our glorious faces in high def 8K quality. We've upgraded from 4K, so now we're in 8K. Go check us out. But as always, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening. And we look forward to having you back right here at Locked On NBA.
You are Locked On NBA, your daily NBA podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.